This afternoon, Manchester United kept their hopes of Champions League football next season alive with a crucial 2-0 win against Everton at Old Trafford. And what a performance it was! Okay, that's a little bit of a lie. It weren't a great performance, but at least it was super entertaining. No, that is also a lie. I do apologise. But Manchester United got the 2-0 win. It was an important win. Was it deserved? I'm not too sure. The XG perhaps suggests that it wasn't. If you take United's penalties away, it really doesn't look very good. But United did get the win. There was a couple of interesting tactical ideas, so we're going to look at it. And we're going to start off with Manchester United in possession, because what we saw quite quickly in the game, quite early, was a change of approach and a change of theme. So the opening stages of the game was Manchester United trying to play the ball out from the back. Raphael Varane and Johnny Evans would split. Interesting what way round they are, by the way. Varane left, Evans right. Casemiro would then be our deepest midfielder. What Everton would do from here was that Beto and Doucouré would go into a front two, and then someone like Garner would go into Casemiro here, Onana on Mainu perhaps, and Everton are essentially 4-4-2 like this. Now, like I said, early on, the plan from United was to genuinely try and play through this press. And we would go to Varane, Everton would squeeze across, would then go to Casemiro, and we would lose the ball. No offence to Casemiro, this was a really bad performance. On the ball, pass completion, pretty terrible. Pretty terrible. And for the first 10 minutes, Everton had chances because they kept winning the ball in these areas. We saw Garnacho lose the ball loosely a couple of times on this side of the pitch. We saw Bruno Fernandes lose the ball loosely, Lindelof as well, Johnny Evans, everyone was losing the ball. First 10 minutes, and it was allowing Everton to get into good areas and have shots. And they had shots all game long. A lot of shots. And they were attacking United. After this, United then made a bit of a change. They at least recognised that playing out from the back wasn't working. So what did they do? Well, actually, initially, they still played the short pass. For example, Onana would play the ball to Varane. We might go all the way across to Victor Lindelof. From here, we were actually a little bit clever with what we done. Because we would draw Everton over, like so. And because Lindelof was right-footed, naturally, his first touch, when he receives this pass from Varane, his first touch is bringing him this way, back towards the goal. And Everton used this as a trigger to come towards us and press a little bit higher, commit players higher to the press. What we done from here, though, Lindelof being right-footed, he then had this natural pass kind of across the pitch. A bit of a risky pass, because if Everton nick it, you're in a lot of trouble. But sometimes he would find Evans, and sometimes he would find Onana. And it actually worked reasonably well, because what this had the effect of doing was drawing Everton onto us, drawing Everton higher up the pitch, and then we go direct. We go long, we go over it. Now, this isn't the ideal strategy. You know, I'm not someone who really recommends and suggests and wants long ball football. But it did work in this game. You can see Onana, he attempted a lot of long passes in this match. This isn't just me coming up with this, we literally watched it happen. He sent the ball long a lot. But I wouldn't say it was aimless. I wouldn't say it was just a case of chucking the ball long to get rid of it. There was a bit of a plan to it. Particularly, McTominay and Bruno Fernandes dropping a little bit deeper from their kind of duo striker role, interesting dynamic. And that drags Tarkowski and Braithwaite a little bit. Then, Garnacho and Marcus Rashford basically make runs into this space all day long. Because the centre-backs have been drawn out by almost two false nines in a way. And then Garnacho and Marcus Rashford can get in behind them. Of course, for several of the goals, winning the penalties, we saw Garnacho actually on the left-hand side. He would make this run from out to in all the way across. Whether that be from a long ball from the back or actually winning the ball in these areas and then doing it. It was almost a case of draw those Everton centre-backs onto us and then open up that space in behind them. And it really worked for Garnacho in particular. I also think McTominay deserves credit. I think he is someone who gets criticised quite a lot. And when he has his good games, you tend to associate it with goals. I thought in this game, quietly, he went about his game pretty well. A couple of misplaced passes in terms of looking for that killer ball, but I thought he'd done a good job of almost shuttling us between defence and attack. So as this second ball might drop in here once we've gone long, he'd done a good job of getting on this, showing that little bit of power over the first few yards to buy us some ground, and then play those passes through. Again to Marcus Rashford from the left, Garnacho from the right. That was basically our attacking approach for the whole game. In terms of the possession stats, it was much more even than you would expect, because Everton had a lot of the ball. United were still quite transitional, and then in possession, quite direct, quite long with the approach. But it worked, I guess, for the 2 goals. In terms of the rest of the game, United did try and work the ball out from the back, but it just didn't really happen. We lost it when it went inside. The care on the passes was awful. You know, the technical empathy, giving your teammates a pass which they want to receive. was missing in this game. The pass completion rate from the side in general was poor. Certain individuals certainly brought those averages down, but in general it just wasn't good enough. Nowhere near good enough for United. And when we did try play out from the back, say down the right hand side for example, Everton would come across, and it's one of those situations where when it then goes wide to Dalot, the patterns are inconsistent, so we almost get a little bit lost and a little bit stuck when this ball goes wider. We get into this position and we're not too sure what the plan is. Occasionally, because we've got quality players, it works. Dalot can play it to Evans, Casemiro might make a movement like this, drag Onana out, then you go behind them, like so. And there were situations where United done that well, and it allows you to attack. Dalot can carry the ball forward. Again, you've got Garnacho as a runner, perhaps McTominay now more central, and things like that. But in general, you know, United's in possession play. It would be a lie to sit here and tell you we were scintillating, we were fantastic. It was a case of play the ball out from the back in the early stages, lose the ball a lot. Then as the game went on, still play the ball out from the back, but actually with the intention of just drawing Everton out of position in their 4-4-2, pretty aggressive press. Draw them into these areas, then go past it with the long ball. That seemed to be our approach in possession.
So before we continue into the video, a quick shout out to today's video sponsor, JerseyFIFA.com, the home of all of the greatest football kits. Whether that be the new latest releases or the old classic ones like this, Jersey FIFA has something for everyone, and now you can check it out yourself using the link in the description down below. And also make sure to use code JerseyFIFA for 10% off when you order.
United's out of possession shape as well was something which, again, failed to really inspire. We done enough, we kept a clean sheet, we got the 2-0 win. But again, the volume of shots which Everton had is alarming. It's worrying. This is a theme which we see every single week. Now, like I said, some of that was in the first 10-15 minutes where there was that Everton onslaught. We were making errors, they were attacking us a lot. But to be honest, it just happened throughout the game. And the worrying thing for me is how easily Everton done it. It was very, very easy. Essentially, someone like Pickford, for example, would have the ball at the back. And you know us, we don't really engage that high up the pitch at the moment. We don't go super intense with a press. So what would happen is Godfrey would go forward. We've also got to consider game state. You know, we're 2-0 up, so we don't need to press so high. Godfrey would go forward. Harrison would come inside. Mikalenko would go forward. McNeil would come inside. Now this confuses United players because of course it drags Marcus Rashford back onto Godfrey. But he doesn't always want to do that. So Godfrey, you know, you can get the ball to him. And the same for Mikalenko as well. But also the confusion is Dalot doesn't know if he's meant to go tight on McNeil or out to Mikalenko, and the same for Lindelof on this side. This meant that Everton could work the ball wide, cause this little bit of confusion in our defence, then go inside, where Casemiro at times got his tackles spot on. In a slide tackle, wins the ball back really well, and then again on other occasions is beaten far too easily, goes to ground, gets played around super easily, leaves Kobbie Mainoo covering huge gaps. So again, it's uninspiring. Everton found their way forward. They were able to progress the ball through the thirds, often with a reasonably direct approach. I think Onana and Garner both had pretty good games in the midfield for Everton. They did do a good job of kind of pulling us about a little bit and completing their passes. The problem ultimately for Everton was they would get into these areas, McNeil or Harrison would get on a half-turn, they'd drive towards our box, and a combination of things happened. One, Everton were terrible with their final decision. Patterns in the final third were non-existent. Really bad decisions in the final third. Then the other thing, Varane and Johnny Evans defended the box brilliantly. I think Lindelof and Dalot also done a pretty decent job defensively, considering. And also, Onana in goal. A really good game. Some really good saves, but also importantly, controlling and dominating his box. Really good to see. He's grown in confidence in the past few weeks. So when the ball is going wide and these crosses are coming in, I remember last season watching De Gea and he'd almost be glued to his line a little bit. Not the case with Onana. He is coming out. He's being proactive. He is claiming these crosses. And his form in general in recent weeks has been much improved. He's obviously involved in the goals as well. His ability to go long, to get us direct, find those forward players and then therefore win the penalties. So I think Onana had a really good game as well. In general though, I'd be lying if I said to you there is loads to talk about for this game. It was bad. It was a bad game of football. It was a pretty poor advert for the Premier League. Really, it just wasn't great. The quality, again, the lack of technical empathy from both sides. Just awful passes. Just passes randomly going out for throw-ins, which just shouldn't. Passes 3 yards behind a player rather than the ball which they can step onto. It just wasn't a high-quality game. We saw 2 real moments of quality from Garnacho and some terrible Everton defending. Garnacho wins the penalties were good. We take the 2-0 win. And like I said, it's important. It keeps our hopes of the top 4 alive. But it wasn't great. It wasn't great. And I think that's all I've got to say. Apologies for the little green screen issue there. But I think that's all I've got to say for today's game, because it wasn't a great game. It wasn't inspired. It wasn't tactically genius or anything like that. But United got an important win. So I'm going to stop there. Now it's your turn. Get in the comments down below and let me know what you thought of the game. Who was the man of the match? Perhaps Garnacho for the 2 penalty wins. I thought Rashford defended well. I thought Scott McTominay, I thought he had a good game. Our centre-backs, Onana. Let me know what you think. Who was the best player? Did we deserve this win? What was good about it? What was bad about it? Are you inspired or a little bit flat? Let me know what you think. But apart from that, we are finished for today. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you have enjoyed it. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.